Hi guys, I'm just another guy named James, and today I'm going to be talking about Batman, The 10 Nights of the Beast, which was a four-part story released in 1988, which was written by Jim Starlin, drawn by Jim Aparo, and inked by Mike DiCarlo. And honestly, this is just a really good Batman story. I was shocked by how good it was. I was very surprised, but I also kind of wasn't surprised because this is the same creative team that wrote that concocted Batman: Death in the Family, which is another great Batman story from just a little bit later in the Batman timeline than when this was released. Honestly, it's just this story isn't there's nothing super standout about it. It's just a very run of the mill Batman story, but it's just really freaking good. And honestly, yeah, like I said, drawn by Jim Aparo, who is far and away my favorite Batman artist. People have their other favorites. People their Neil Adams, their Jim Lees, their Dick Gordanios, their Joe Statins. I'm a big fan of Jim Aparo on Batman. He just has this super he's got this super illustrative style, He doesn't do a lot of pinups. In fact, I don't think there's a single really iconic pinup in this story. But his panel to panel reading the story artwork is so good. It's top tier. He kind of reminds you of the Buscema brothers who mostly worked in Marvel. But yeah, overall, I really dig this story. There are a couple. The weirdest part about the story, though, is that it's a Batman and Robin story, which is odd because for most of the story, Robin's kind of just there, and it's actually a Jason Todd Robin story. In fact, it's one of the only Batman stories with Jason Todd in it, where he's kind of just there. One of the only post-crisis ones, anyway. But yeah, where he's there, but he's not really important in any way. But yeah, so overall, that's kind of just everything you really need to know. One more thing though. This story is very much so has a time and place in its history, and you can kind of tell that as I get rolling into the story. You can tell that this is a comic that came out in 1988. And yeah, I mean, and honestly, that's a good thing. You can, it was written for the time that it was written, and it wasn't, overall, I just really dig the story. So I think I'm just gonna hop into our story today, which begins at a sunrise, with two men coming off of a boat, hauling some big old chests with them. And as these men are confronted by some DEA agents. But the bigger of the two men ends up just slaughtering all of the DEA agents and leaving their dead bodies on the beach. We then jump backwards in time to one day earlier in Moscow, where we see a KGB agent named Andrea Yateskino informing the U.S. government about a splinter cell within the KGB called Hammer, which was being shut down by the rest of the organization, so the leader of Hammer killed himself and burned all of his documents, leaving only a paper with two words on it: Gotham City. We then cut forward in time, past everything, to the evening of, they call it day 3 in the story, where we see that Batman and Robin are listening in on a conversation between the KGB agent Andrea and the CIA agent Ralph Bundy and Commissioner Gordon, where Andrea is telling the Americans about Hammer's final mission, which is called Operation Skywalker, which is really just one man, whom the Russians call the Beast. He's the man who killed the DEA agents at the beginning of the story, and the Beast, or KG Beast, as the CIA call him, is a cybernetically enhanced assassin, a killing machine trained in every martial art and a master with all kinds of weapons. And he's loose in Gotham City. and he's in Gotham City because he's trying to cripple the Strategic Defense Initiative, the SDI program. We also learned that 2 people who were key to the SDI initiative have already died furthering this end, one being poisoned and the other decapitated with a tripwire. We were also introduced to FBI agent Parker, who and his whole team of agents. He's got like 10 of them. And Gordon tries to bring Batman into the loop on the case, but Agent Parker just straight up refuses and then goes on to lecture Gordon about vigilantes. And we see that Gordon is the one who actually tapped Batman in onto the conversation. We then see Batman leave Robin to listen to the rest of the conversation, while Batman goes to check up on a friend of his named Jason Green, who is the head of security for the SDI. We then cut to Jason's office, where we see a gloved hand open a window and sneak into his office. We then see the KG Beast knock out Green. We then cut back to Batman, who is swinging to Jason's office, but before he gets there, he sees the grim vision of the KG Beast throwing Jason Green off of the roof of the building, forcing Batman to make a daring leap to save him. But now they're in absolute freefall, so Batman just tries to slow them down by grabbing a flagpole, but they're falling too fast and they just loop around and shoot up. Batman then catches a phone cord, but that snaps, so that sends him sprawling into a brick building. And as they continue to fall, Batman tries to catch himself on some cement trim, but all that does is break half of his foot. He then manages to flip himself around, so he's now under Green as they go crashing down onto the street through a car. But it's been too late the whole time. Batman makes it. Green does not. He was dead the entire time. So Batman walks away to do some investigating. Then we jump ahead in time to Batman and Robin, who are meeting with Commissioner Gordon and CIA agent Bundy. And at this meeting, we see that Batman has made a list using Green's files of the 10 people who KG Beast would try to kill, who live in or are coming to Gotham, who are also key to the SDI. And the KG Beast has already killed 3 of them. And we also learn about the Beast's helper, who is an Iranian militant, who kind of is just his weapon supplier, his assistant. We then cut to a physics plant where we see that the very same helper kills the 4th man on the list. We then see the cops place everybody else under the list under protective custody, except for one who they need to track down. And we then learn that the same person on the list who the police cannot find, the Beast is found. And then we see Batman tell Robin that the only plan that they can have is to just draw the Beast out to them. We then cut to the next day, and the KG Beast's next victim, as we see the Beast swap out the victim's orange juice for one of his own. And later that day, we see that Commissioner Gordon has found the body of the victim and is informing Batman. While Batman is on the phone with the Commissioner, we hear about a lunch that is being held by a presidential advisor, another one of the men who is on the Beast's list. We then cut to said lunch, and we see that the FBI, CIA, and Gotham Police Department are all providing security, but as one of the men begins to give a speech, we see the presidential advisor fall dead into his soup. And so does everybody else around him. So as panic sets in, Gordon calls ambulances, because everybody in the room is just dying. And Gordon also pushes his way into the kitchen to find the chef, who claims that the soup was prepared by a chef from the state health department, but that it was really just the Beast's assistant. And behind the hotel, we see Batman confront the Beast's helper, but before he can get any answers, we see the KG Beast pop out of a van with a Tommy gun, and he tries to gun down Batman. As Batman dives for cover, Solari, the Beast's assistant, gets in the van and starts driving away. But KG Beast also has to take some time to reload his gun, so Batman makes a run for the van. And he makes it to the top of the van, and just as he's about to catch them, just as he's about to stop the madness, Solari aims his van at a school bus full of children. which forces Batman to make some moves to save to get the van out of the way of the bus, while the Beast and Solari get out of the van and run away. Batman's just barely able to turn the van and dodge the bus, but the Beast escapes again. So later we see Batman talking to Commissioner Gordon, who informs Batman that everybody who was at the banquet has died. That is 80 people That is 80 people in this one event have died. And we then cut to, so Batman and Gordon come up with a plan to protect the last 4 people on the list. We then cut to later that day as Gordon informs FBI agent Parker that he has placed 2 of the last 4 people on the Beast's list in protective custody. And Gordon is absolutely refusing to tell the FBI where they have put the congressman and the senator. That's because Batman and Gordon kind of think there's a leak coming from the FBI. And because they know there's a leak coming from somewhere. And yeah, we then cut back to the KG Beast, and we see that he has learned the location of the senator, who has been stashed in a hotel. We then see Batman shaking down a series of gun runners for information on the KG Beast. And one of them tells Batman that he sold the Beast a bazooka with a single rocket. So later that night, we see the senator's hotel room through a pair of binoculars, right before KG Beast fires his rocket into the hotel room. Then Batman emerges from the shadows, and he tells KG Beast that the only thing that he managed to shoot was a senatorial mannequin. So the Beast pulls out his pistol, trying to shoot Batman, but Batman just dodges and disarms the Beast. But then Batman makes a mistake. He tries to fist fight KG Beast. He comes to Batman with just an absolutely devastating series of elbows and knees, which leaves Batman dazed long enough for the Beast to run away, leading Batman to chase after him. And as Batman chases the Beast, he begins to throw knives back at Batman. So Batman has to take a knife through the wrist. And the chase continues, with the Beast making a daring leap for a phone wire. And Batman follows, but he misses, meaning that the Beast gets away again. The next morning, we see a plane take off from Gotham International Airport before it's shot out of the sky by the KG Beast with a rocket launcher. We then cut to Commissioner Gordon's office, where we learn that 2 of the people on the plane were CIA agent Bundy and General Ridwell, meaning that the Beast has killed 7 out of the 10 people on his list. Batman and Gordon then begin to discuss who they believe has been leaking information to the KG Beast, and they come to the conclusion pretty easily that the leak must be coming from the FBI, and whether that be from Agent Parker or one of his many men. We also learn that Parker has learned the location of the senator and the congressman, but Gordon still has his men guarding the statespeople. Then an officer comes to warn Gordon and Parker that Parker is coming up to his office. So Batman and Robin skedaddle. We then jump ahead to later that night, where we see Agent Parker, Commissioner Gordon, and a couple of police officers walking through the hotel where they've stashed the senator and the congressman, and because the statesmen need to be moved to an important event that they have that night. But as the congressman tries to open his door, one of the officers notices that the door is different from all the others on that floor, but he notices just too late, because when the door opens, the room explodes, killing the congressman and his aide. We then see that the officer who notices the faulty door takes off his disguise and reveals that he's actually Batman. We also see that FBI agent McDonald has brought the senator out of his room, and Agent Parker tells him to take the senator to the elevator to get him out of the building. But Batman is trying to make him take the stairs because you don't take elevators in emergencies. Everybody kind of knows that. But Parker refuses and tries to take the senator to the garage alone. But Batman and Gordon jump in the elevator as well. And after going down a few floors, the elevator is stopped. So Batman hops out to try to get it going again. But just as Batman gets on top of the elevator, a cinder block comes hurtling down the shaft and splits through the elevator, killing an FBI agent. So Batman tells everybody inside the elevator to squeeze against the walls as he climbs up the shaft, because he's trying to get to the roof where KG Beast is tossing his cinder blocks. While Batman is climbing and the cinder blocks are pelting through the elevator like bullets, Commissioner Gordon calls in his officers to try to stop the Beast. As Batman climbs, he eventually sees the Beast, but unfortunately, KG Beast also sees him, and he begins trying to shoot him with his pistol. And Batman is able to dodge most of the bullets, but eventually one hits his shoulder. As the Beast reloads his pistol, Batman capitalizes, throwing some darts at the Beast. The first one hits him just below the eye, while the second one hits him right in the hand, which makes him drop his gun. Right when KG Beast drops his gun, the police come in, but cops have to give the opportunity to surrender before they shoot, which is the last mistake they ever make, because the Beast grabs a fire axe and he kills all of the cops. And by the time Batman makes it the rest of the way up the shaft, all of the cops are already dead, and the Beast is getting ready to zipline down to another roof. So Batman chases him, but the Beast gets to the other side of the roof and he begins to cut the rope that they just slid in on. So Batman, who's still on the rope, tries to hurry his way down the rope, but he knows he's not going to make it on time. So he puts a plastique charge on the rope, cutting the upper end, while at the same time the Beast cuts the lower end. So now the rope's loose, and Batman's able to lasso the Beast's arm, which causes the Beast just enough pain that he begins to get desperate. So desperate that as Batman is climbing up the rope, about to catch the Beast, he cuts off his own hand with the axe, which dropping Batman and giving the Beast an opportunity to run away, but not before he swears his vengeance. So Batman's just able to catch himself on a ledge before, but eventually he makes it down because the Beast got away. There's no way Batman's making it up the building in time. And so Batman comes down and he talks to Gordon, but the two are interrupted by CIA agent Bundy, who reveals that he and the General pulled a trick play on the Beast, where they just sent a remote-controlled plane up into the sky with them on the itinerary, but they really just snuck the General out by train. And we also learned that the last name on the president's list will be coming to Gotham in 3 days. The current president of the United States, Ronald Reagan, and the Beast is going to try to kill him, even with his hand missing. We then see the Beast strong-arming a weapons manufacturer into building him a new hand. We then jump 3 days later, where we see Batman has found the arms dealer, but the Beast killed him. And the next day, we see that the president has arrived in Gotham. So Batman does the natural thing, and he kidnaps him, and he helps Agent Bundy take him to his hotel room. Back on the ground, we see that Agent Parker is getting annoyed with Batman's constant interference. But we then jump about an hour later into the hotel, and we see that Batman has been given the official all-clear from the president, who actually really wants Batman heading up the protection detail, since he's the only one who managed to save one of the victims one of the Beast's list on his own. So Batman comes up with a plan, which is then told to KG Beast, because somebody's been leaking it to him. We then see Agent Parker leave to get things ready, and Batman then tells CIA agent Bundy and the president the real plan. And Batman also knows who the Beast's informant is, and Batman is going to keep the mole close to him. Later that night, we see the president's helicopter touching down on the roof of the hotel, and as the chopper lands, Agent Bundy is trying to loosely convince Batman to just straight up kill the KG Beast. And then we jump up to the roof where the helicopter is, and as the president and his entourage walk to the helicopter, we see that the Beast's assistant has put on a suicide vest and is gliding in to try to blow up the president. But Robin just kind of jumps in, kicks him out of the way, and causes Solari to die a meaningless death. And we also see that the president was never even on the roof. Gordon was just impersonating him. So we cut to Batman, who actually has the president, and we see that FBI agent McDonald is with him. As the crew walks into the basement of the convention center where Reagan's giving a speech, we see that McDonald pull out his gun, and at the very same time, the KG Beast pops out of a sewer grate. and he starts shooting the cops who are defending the president in the chest. We also see McDonald shoot Batman in the back and in the shoulder, and in the same shoulder that the Beast shot earlier in the story, which takes Batman to his knees, but he is still able to toss some more darts at the KG Beast, again hitting him right above the eye. And at the same time, Agent Bundy brings in his CIA agents, who shoot FBI agent McDonald and run after the Beast, who ran down the sewer to get away. We then see Batman ditch his bulletproof vest for some reason, and go down into the sewer after the CIA agents, because the CIA agents are already most likely dead. And as Batman follows the blood trail throughout the sewers, he begins to find dead bodies. But the Beast launches an ambush, which is only dissuaded by Batman tossing a dead CIA agent at KG Beast, which gives Batman just enough time to charge the Beast and shatter his arm gun. But the gun is also a knife, and the two begin a close quarters fight, and Batman manages to just finish the job in taking out KG Beast's eye. Then he lodges the blade, his knife arm, into a wall, and he snaps it. KG Beast then uses his arm again to gas Batman, but Batman is able to hold his breath until he can toss the KG Beast clear in a way that lets him clear the smoke. But this gives the Beast an opportunity to run away. But Batman doesn't seem too worried, as he thinks, it's almost over. Beast is running out of places to escape. He spots the door, just as I expected. I don't rush in after him. There's no way else. It's a cul-de-sac. I'm trapped. Well, my worthy opponent, a time of reckoning is upon us. Time for us to find out which of us is the best at this game of life and death. What are you waiting for? Come. Let us play out this black game. Why should I? A few years ago, I would have jumped at this chance to test myself against you. Time has taught me many valuable lessons. There's no reason for me to risk my life coming in there after you. Neither accomplish nor prove anything worthwhile. Sometimes you have to ignore the rules. Sometimes circumstances are such that the rules pervert justice. Not in this business to protect the rules. I serve justice. We then see Batman bringing the CIA agents out of the sewer, and he goes up to talk to Agent Bundy, who wants to know what happened to the real president, as the one who was part of Batman's trap was an impersonator. So Batman lets him know that Reagan is at the front entrance of the convention center and is all fine. So he gets in the car and he has Alfred drive him home. And that's just where the story ends. And man, it's a good story. Like, it's this like complex political thriller type story, kind of Mission Impossible-esque. It's good though, man. It's so good. The artwork is really just stand out throughout this story. Like the panel-to-panel layout, they make all the chase scenes throughout this comic super exhilarating. It's an edge of your seat type read when you're actually just sitting there reading the comics in order. It's a darn good story. And honestly, KG Beast is an interesting Batman villain because Batman can't really beat him. Like, the entire story, KG Beast has a leg up on Batman. He is Batman's match physically. Every time the two actually fight, Batman's kind of losing. Like, down in the sewer at the end of the story, they kind of have Batman winning, but not really. I mean, Batman is so unsure that he would win, he doesn't even fight KG Beast at the end of the story. He just locks him in this room in the sewer. Which, for Batman, that's pretty as close to the no-kill rule as he gets. Because Batman doesn't tell the police where KG Beast is either. Batman just pops out of the sewer and is like, hey, here's all your guys, And then Agent Mundy actually asks him, hey, where's KG Beast? And Batman just looks at him like, I'm not telling you. And that's it. That's just where it ends. Like, Batman seems pretty willing to let KG Beast die, even if he won't kill him. So yeah, Batman just locks him in this room in the sewer. There's no big confrontation. There's no big final fight between the two. That's it. And yeah, I think the most exciting part of this story is during the third part of the story, during the entire elevator sequence. So you have it starts with the hotel room blowing up and the Senate and the congressman dying, and then you get this super exciting scene where Batman like tries to rush in and save the congressman from the exploding door, but it's too late. Then Agent Parker tries to rush the senator out through the elevator. Batman says that's stupid. They do it anyway. And then the cinder blocks start hurtling through the elevator. Batman climbs 15 stories up an elevator shaft, no problem. Just rope pulling it. Pretty baller. It's just this cool. It's just this really cool scene. Yeah, you have this great fight, like kind of this great confrontation between Batman and KG Beast. This great chase scene where when Batman finally gets the upper edge, we learn just how committed KG Beast is to his mission. So committed that he's willing to literally chop off his hand to get out of the situation, which is just such a crazy scene. I was shocked when I was reading that. I was when I read this story to make the video, I was like, "Oh, Batman's got him! How's KG Beast getting out of this?" And then he just cuts off his hand. I was like, "Oh, that's not what I thought was gonna happen there." No, it's just a good comic. Tell you what, and Jim Aparo's art is perfectly suited for it. So perfectly suited for it that when I saw, because for this story, Mike Zeck draws all the covers. Let's see, where's the cover? There we go. Mike Zeck draws the covers. They're beautiful. It's Mike Zeck. He's always gonna have these great covers. I actually like Jim Aparo's interior art a little better for the story than I like Mike Zeck's covers. And I'm a Mike Zeck diehard fan. Mike Zeck's one of my favorite comic artists. For this story, I think Aparo is just perfect. Aparo just gets how to draw Batman in action like no other. It's just this this is just a great Batman story. And part of what makes it so great, it shows off Batman's character, his intelligence, his commitment, without having to tell you Batman's the best, without having to tell you that he is so committed to his mission. It just shows you and you believe it. It's a great show don't tell story. But yeah, no, it's just really good. Jim Starlin's writing is on point with this story too. Starlin's not always a favorite writer of mine, but his run on Batman, man. I've read 2 of his Batman stories. They're great. But yeah, no, overall, great Batman story. I don't have the individual issues for this story, so I have no idea kind of what the price range on them is looking like, but none of the Batmans from this era are too expensive, except for Death in the Family, and even those, you're talking in the $20 to $30 range, depending on where you find them. Which is expensive, don't get me wrong, but not that bad. But in the grand scheme of things, not that bad. These, I think, range more in the $3 to $5 each range. Great story. Would highly recommend actually getting in a trade paperback. But I really do just enjoy the story. It's really cool. It's just a great Batman story through and through. And yeah, I'd highly recommend it to anybody looking for a good Batman story, just for a good comic story in general. It's got this great 70s 80s DC thing where it's kind of this where it should really be this like super dark, depressing, edgy story, but it doesn't read that way. And I think that's actually one of the best things about it. It doesn't read like it's trying super hard to be this like, oh, Batman, edgy, oh, Dark Knight Returns, Batman story. And that's probably the best thing about it. It just is, you know, there are mature themes in it for sure. It's a Batman story. There kind of should be, but it manages to avoid like becoming just oppressively dark. It's a lot like the Batman the Animated Series from the 90s. It toes that same line of like, yeah, bad things happen, terrible things happen, in sometimes gross and grotesque ways. But I could also have read this story when I was 10. You know what I'm saying? Like, they do such a good job of still making it just a good enough story that you can just read it and enjoy it without it having to be like this dark, edgy, thing. And I think that's kind of a lost art when it comes to Batman. Because modern day Batman is just all about darkness, edgy, vengeance, Like, modern day Batman kind of just sucks. Like, in most all forms of the character. But that's a story. That's a video for a different day, because that's a whole other dissertation. But yeah, overall, great story. I think Batman 10 Nights of the Beast, genuinely one of my favorite Batman stories. Very, very good. I mean, and one more thing, the writing device of having it take place in 10 days, 10 nights of the Beast, very cool. Made the story feel it made it feel very quick, very intense. All throughout the story, there are these time labels everywhere. Day 5, the Commodore Hotel. Day 4, they're Gotham International Airport. Like, things just happened so fast, and it was cool seeing, cool reading it and knowing that, oh, this is legitimately just supposed to be a 10-day story. And you don't even see 3 of the days, because it's just in between parts 3 and 4. It's just, overall, just a really good story. I'd highly recommend to anybody looking for a Batman story. But yeah. I mean, really, that's all I got to say on this story. Aparo's art, beautiful. Jim Starlin's writing, some of his best, honestly, frankly. It's just really good. And yeah, that's kind of all I got. So yeah, I'm just another guy named James, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.